so linear functions. So this is where you actually get into more of the 8th grade, transition from 7th to 8th grade. So we'll do this extremely quickly. Figure 0 has how many little squares? 3. Figure 1 has... Figure 2 has... All right, so what am I changing by? Yeah, so from this box to this box, I'm adding 2, adding 2, adding 2. So how many would be in figure 3? 9. Because all you're doing is adding 2 little tiny squares, right? If I wanted to draw that, I could. All right, so let's fill in the remaining slots here for our table. On the top is your x values, your figure numbers. On the bottom is your shapes. So figure 0 has 3, figure 1 has 5, figure 2 has 7, figure 3 has 9, figure 4 will have 11, figure 5 will have 13. And we'll leave that one blank because it's 17. So it skips quite a bit. All right, so there's 2 things that we need to know in order to write linear equations. Your rate of change and your starting point. Your rate of change is, what are you changing by? 2. So you can see it here in the drawings that you're changing by 2. Also here in your table. From here to here, we're adding 2, right? So every single time, we're just changing by 2. That's why it's called the rate of change. At what rate are you changing by? Oh, I'm changing each time by 2. Evan, do you need something? Because I don't want you scoring a 0 when I give you this on the do now tomorrow. All right, what is your starting point? What did we start with? 3. Now, it's a tricky question because sometimes we don't start at figure 0, but your starting point is when you, and I'm going to make this little note for you, look for figure 0, okay? So when you're looking for your starting point, you're looking for figure 0. Now, sometimes we do start at figure 0 and sometimes we do not. But in order for you to figure out the value of a starting point, you need to look at figure 0. So figure 0 has a value of 3, so our starting point is 3. So our rate of change is 2. We're changing by 2. Our starting point is 3. Now, do you guys remember we used to write equations as y equals k and then x. What did k stand for? The unit rate, right? So it would be y equals k and then your x, right? K stands for your unit rate. So so this is 7th grade. Okay, in 7th grade we write our equations like this. In 8th grade we add a little bit more, Shayla. So we're going to write this down so you know it. Here is the formula. You're going to start with y equals, always with y. Y equals, then it's going to be your rate of change. So we no longer call it unit rate, we call it rate of change. Followed by your x, that always stays there. So y equals rate of change and then your x. Followed by a plus sign. So it's kind of like a formula, kind of like base times height or length times width or base times height divided by 2. It's a formula where you just plug in your numbers. So you're going to start with y equals rate of change, x plus starting point. Okay, so these 2 numbers that we figured out fairly easy will be used to write your equation. So what would be my equation for this example? Y equals 2x plus 3. Because 2 is my rate of change and 3 is my starting point. You're always going to have a y and an x and a plus sign. Well, 99% of the time you'll have a plus sign. So right here where it says x, that's where you write your equation. Y equals 2x plus 3. Now, using your equation, you're going to solve for 17. Well, 17 is figure number, which represents your x. So 17, you're going to plug in to where the x is. So I'm going to go, okay, I want to know what y equals. I know it's 2 times what number? 17 plus 3. So you use your equation to substitute for 17. So 2 times 17 plus 3 is equal to?
34.
What is it? Thank you. All right, now we're going to graph it. Huh? What? This? 2 times 17. What's 17 plus 17? Plus.
Why do you multiply for just adding the first two?
Why are we multiplying what?
What's it 2?
Because that's your rate of change. So it's like, what's 0 times 2? 0 plus 3? 3. What is 1 times 2? 2 plus 3? 5. So this equation is actually used to solve for all of these bottom numbers. But because it's in order, we can just add 2, the rate of change. It's kind of weird because it's like, wait, we're adding 2, but yet here we're multiplying by 2. But I can see where that confusion comes from. All right, so we're going to graph it. What's our first dot? 0, 3. So on your y, you're going to go to 3. Then 1, 5. So 1 and then up to 5. 2, 7. 3, 9. 4, 11. 5, 13. And that's it. We can't continue because they don't fit, and that's perfectly fine. You only need 2 dots to create a line. You don't need all of the dots.
What about 6 to 2?
Sure. You only need 2 dots to create a line. You don't need all these dots. Pretty easy. Now, I'll tell you the truth. 10 years ago, this was 7th grade math. We used to do this in 7th grade, but they bumped it up to 8th grade.
Why?
Because they gave us circumference and angles. We didn't teach circumference and angles in 7th grade. We taught it in 6th grade. So they moved that up, and then they moved this one up. I don't know. I kind of like teaching this. But, you know, it's all right. You'll do this in 8th grade. All right, so do you notice in 8th grade you don't start at 0, 0? It moved up to 3, which is your starting point. All right. I think it's pretty easy. It should be easy by the end of the period for all of us. All right, moving on to letter B. Letter B, let's investigate. How many in figure 1? 5. How many in figure 2? How many? 9. Feel free to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to write them, little marks there. Figure 3?
13.
15, no.
13.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, so with that information, you should be able to tell me, what are you changing by? 4. Oh, yeah. So from here to here, I'm adding 4. From here to here, I'm adding 4. From here to here, I'm adding 4, right? So we're just adding 4. So what would figure 4 be? 17, right? So now let's work backwards. What would figure 0 be?
1.
1. Good. All right, because 1 plus 4 is going to give you a rate of change of 4. Sorry, 1 plus 4 gives you 5, so your rate of change is 4. All right, so let's fill in the table down here. What would go underneath the 0? 1, and all we're doing is we're adding 4. So go ahead. All we're doing is adding 4, adding 4, adding 4. And we'll stop at the 17. Sometimes kids get carried away and they'll write like 25 or something. But no, you can stop. All right, so what is my rate of change? What am I changing by? 4. All right, so you can see it here. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. Plus 4 plus 4. So that's our rate of change. And what is my starting point? 1. So what would be my equation? 4x plus 1. It always stays in the form of y equals rate of change, x plus starting point. So y equals 4x plus 1. That is my equation. Using my equation, now I use the 17. So I know it's y equals 4x plus 1. Now we're going to substitute 4 parentheses 17 plus 1. And we get, that would be the value of 17. So now we're going to graph. 0, 1, 1, 5, 2, 9, 3, 13. It should end up in a straight line, okay? No matter what dots you put, it should be linear, meaning a straight line. Our starting point is 1, as you can see on my y-axis. And that's it. Is it getting easier, I hope? Good. You'll be doing this a lot next year. Of course, they become a little bit harder, but nothing too dramatic. Pretty cool, huh? All right, let's move on. Letter C. Start it, do it, finish it. All right, what are we changing by? Good. What is my starting point? Mm-hmm. What is my equation? Mm-hmm. All right, so this number goes in front of the x, and this number goes at the end. It's your starting point. So substitute for 17. Y equals 3x plus 1, so 3 times 17 plus 1. Ouch. All right, let's do letter D. Ooh, what's up with letter D? What is our rate of change? Evan? What did you say? -2. Close. Very, very close.
-2.
-2. Because a minus is an operation. But a negative is like an adjective. So yeah. So it's -2, right? Why? Because we keep going down by 2. So is 17 going to be a positive number or a negative number? It's going to be 100% a negative number. And your rate of change is going to be a negative number. So what's figure 0?
11.
Good. 11. Figure 4 would be 3. What would figure 5 be?
1.
Good. So the math that was required was for you to subtract by 2. All right, so my rate of change is actually -2. My starting point is 11. So my equation will be 2x plus 11. Okay? So now let's take this equation and plug in the 17. I'm going to do it on top. So -2x plus 11. -2x plus 11, right? So I'm going to plug in -2 times 17 plus 11. What's -2 times 17? That gives you -34 plus 11. Good job. -23. Go over here. -23. And what's going to happen when you graph it?
It's gonna go down.
The slope is a negative slope, so it will be going down. 1, 9, 2, 7, 3, 5, 4, 3, 5 is 1. So because my rate of change is a negative, it makes your line go down. Okay? When you have a rate of change of a negative coefficient, it's going to go down, 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 down. All right. Any questions? All right. Let's do letter E. Go ahead and start letter E, letter E, letter E. All right, what do we get for our rate of change for letter E? Plus 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, what's my starting point? 3. So my equation is?
Y equal x plus 3.
1x plus 3 is, I mean, it's correct, but it's not 100% rich in algebraically correctly simple.
Y equals x plus 3. 1x is equal to x.
So we're going to graph. Starting point is 3, 1, 4. Pretty easy? Yep. So your test on Friday, part of it basically is page 8. I just kind of changed the patterns a little, but like literally it's going to be like page 8. So you see it, this will be your test. Obviously the answers are not the same, but it's the same process. Like count the little squares, what are we changing by, and we're done. Easy enough? So that would be part 1 of Friday's test. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. All right. So this is what we were supposed to do on Thursday, and then this is what we were supposed to do on Friday. So we're almost caught up with my other classes. All right, let's do page 11. Page 11. Because this is so much fun. Christy, Samantha, Connie, Julie are 4 friends who work part-time in one of the concession stands in the arena. One Saturday, each girl earned $15 over the next week. Christy earns an additional $3 per day. Samantha earns an additional $1.50 per day. Connie spends $2 per day. And Julie neither spends any of her money nor earns any additional money. All right. So do you see how everybody starts at $15?
Yeah.
Okay. So Christy, who earns an additional $3 per day. So after one day, how much money does she have? 18. Because she earns $3. So after day 2, how much money does she have?
21.
All right, keep going. Keep it going. All right. So plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. You should end up on 36 for 7. Okay, what's my equation?
Y equals 3x plus 15.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, Samantha. Samantha earns an additional $1.50 per day. $1.50. So she starts off with $15. How much does she have after day 1? $16.50. Good. What about after day 2? 18. Day 3?
19.
All right, keep going. Go slow. Don't mess up the 50 cents. Go slow. What's her equation? Yep. Y equals 1.5 x plus 15. What are we changing by? We're changing by $1.50 each time. What did we start with? $15. So y equals 1.5 x plus 15. All right. Connie. Connie spends $2 a day. So she starts off with 15. What am I going to do after 15? Subtract, because she spends $2. So how much does she have after day 1? 13. And then 11. And then so on and so forth. So subtract 2, subtract 2, subtract 2. And then, what is my equation for Connie?
Y equals negative 2x plus 15.
Yep. Y equals negative 2x plus 15. Because we're subtracting 2, subtracting 2, subtracting 2. So, again, negative. All right, Julie. Julie neither spends nor earns additional money. So, after day 1, how much money does she have? 15. Day 2, 15. Day 7. Yeah, so this one, she's straight across just 15. There's no change in her. She doesn't spend money. She doesn't earn money. She stays exactly the same. So, what is my equation for Julie?
Y equals 0x plus 15.
Y equals 0x plus 15 is correct. But it's not simplified all the way. We can write it more.
Y equals 15.
Y equals 15. This is the only time you can get rid of your x. Why? Because what is 0 times x? 0. So any number multiplied by 0 will always give you 0. Even if it's a variable. So even if you don't know what this variable is, a variable could be any number, positive, negative, decimal, fraction, whatever. Every time you have a 0x, it turns into a 0, and then you just go 0 plus 15. So this is the only time you can get rid of your x, when your rate of change is 0. So the more advanced way of writing this would be y equals 15. Get rid of that one. So when you see y equals 15, you know that the rate of change will be 0. All right. Woo! Yay us. Okay, let's graph it. You're going to graph all of them. You're going to name each line. If you have the colored pens, this is where you take them out and use them. You can make each of your lines a different color. If you don't have colored pens, you can just name your lines. So for example, I'm going to do Christy, 0, 15. So I'm going to put a dot on 0, 15. Then my next dot is 1, 18. So 1. Then I'm going to go to 15, 16, 17, 18. 2, 21. 3, 24. Just like that. And then I'm going to name it Christy, right? Can just name the lines. If I only have pencils, I can just name them. So you're graphing how many lines? 4. Now for Connie, I would graph the 18, the 15, this answer, and this answer. Why am I only graphing the ones I circled? Does anybody realize why I would do that?
It will be like a straight line. It will still pass every other number.
Yep. I'm avoiding the decimals. Avoiding the decimals to the best of my ability. So this would be 21, and this would be 24. So I would graph these, and even if you're skipping this one, you'll still end up crossing it because it's a straight line. So I would graph this, 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 and this, and you will hit 16.5. You will hit 19.5 when you graph it. But make sure you skip at the bottom. So I'm not going to graph on 1, graph on 2, 2, 18, 15, 16, 17, 18. Skip over to 4, 21. Just like that. And then, so I skip the 1, I skip the 3, just so that I can graph whole numbers, make everyone's life easier. And then this would be Samantha. All right, so Christy, Samantha, they both start at the 15. Continue graphing Connie and Julie. What kind of line will Julie have? No. Well, they're all straight. This is a straight line. This is a straight line. How would we call that? Horizontal. Good. You'll learn those like little vocabulary words more in 8th grade, like horizontal, but you'll apply it to graphs. You can't say straight lines because technically they're all straight lines. I know where your mind is going. I get it. Totally get it. But the more you practice these in 8th grade and the more you use the vocabulary that your teacher will teach you, you'll make all the final connections. It's going to be great. Poor Connie. And then Julie. So that's how your 4 lines should end up looking like. 2 with a positive rate of change, 1 with no rate of change, a horizontal line, and 1 with a negative rate of change. Poor Connie. So 2 going up, 1 horizontal, and 1 decreasing. All right. We okay? Pretty easy? I mean, this was a lot, but it was everything we haven't done in the last couple of days because we were testing or watching educational documentaries. All right.
Can you watch the educational documentaries again?
No.
Or do any of those?
No, because you have a test on Friday. And I want to make sure you can pass it. All right. And based on some of your answers, you're not 100% there based on what I've been hearing from you. Or lack of there. Okay, I want you to answer letters C and D. H. And J. C, D, H, and J. Just those 4 questions. Just need you to answer those 4 questions. C, D, H, and J. That's it. Yeah, just those.